What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I've got a bit of a modern throwback I've been wanting to pick up since they came out in 2023. The Hyperkin Xenon controller, otherwise known as the Xbox 360 controller designed for modern hardware. I got this controller on Prime Day for $43. I've spent a couple of days with it so far, and it's got some ups and downs, so let's take a look. Over the past couple of years, Hyperkin struck a long-term partnership with Microsoft to make a line of controllers celebrating the last 20 years of Xbox. And for some of those, that's literally what they're doing. Currently, they've got 3 different models in the lineup: the Duke original Xbox replica controller, the Xenon Xbox 360 replica, and the Duchess, a remake of the second smaller controller for the original Xbox. But this is the white Xbox 360 replica, and on the outside of the box you get a sneak peek of what to expect. A shot of the controller on the front and the right, and then on the back you get a rundown of exactly what this controller is and compatible hardware. All of these controllers are designed to work with the Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Windows PC, so no matter where you're playing, if you're in the Microsoft world, you can show your love for your favorite generation of Xbox controller. Cracking open the box, the nostalgia is in full effect. The packaging just screams early Xbox 360 with the colors and a design that has that same look and feel of the jump-in campaign commercials that took over the mid-2000s. Now, the way they pack this controller is fantastic. It comes with these little pads around the joysticks to hold them in place and keep them from getting pinned down or tossed around a little bit too much during shipping. But overall, we've got the controller, a 10-foot USB-C cable, this Hyperkin sticker, and a quick start guide. It's short, sweet, and to the point, gets all of those legal requirements out of the way, and hey, who doesn't like a good sticker? Even when you're just holding this thing, you can tell that they really went all out in making this feel like an original Xbox 360 controller. Now, I will say this is a wired controller, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But a byproduct of this being a wired controller is that it doesn't have a battery compartment or require batteries. Ultimately, that means the back of the controller doesn't quite have that same feel of the little pockets near the battery pack, and it's a little bit lighter than the standard wireless Xbox 360 controller. But when you compare them side by side without batteries and the original, it pretty much feels the same. Of course, when you're in the moment playing a game, these little differences certainly aren't going to be anything that take away from the experience, but if we're talking about a one-to-one replica, it's still some detail worth calling out. The cool thing about this controller is that while it captures that old school look and feel, it also has some modern upgrades that people have come to expect as gaming has evolved over the last 20 years. You've got a 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom to plug in a headset for game audio and voice chat, and you've also got that share button front and center just like the latest Xbox controller for taking a screenshot or capturing some gameplay. On the top, we've got a USB-C port, and that's pretty much the gold standard for anything gaming related, and it comes packing a 10-foot USB-C cable that snaps in nicely without any kind of wiggle room. This might sound minor, but it's a really important detail, because if you're playing at your desk and get the cable hung on your keyboard, or you're playing in the living room and get it caught around a coffee table leg, the cable won't immediately just fall out of the port. It has that same feel of an integrated cable that's built directly into the controller, with the freedom of being able to detach it for portability, storage, or even putting a replacement in down the line if yours wears out or you'd want a longer cable. Now we get to the big question. How does this thing actually feel to play? Everything about it feels authentic to the Xbox 360 experience with a couple of modern quality of life improvements. It's snappy and responsive, obviously helped out by the fact that it's wired, but beyond that, the buttons feel great. The face buttons really capture that Xbox 360 look and feel, and the shoulder buttons in particular have a great tactile clickiness to them that actually feels better than the Xbox 360 controller that I use today. You can even hear it in the comparison. But by far, my favorite thing about this controller so far are the thumbsticks. These feel buttery smooth. Comparing it to the current Xbox 360 controller I use, it honestly feels even better. Now keep in mind, I'm comparing a brand new Hyperkin controller to a controller that I bought secondhand at a convention and that's at least 15 years old. I've taken this one apart, cleaned it, and lubricated the thumbstick, so it should be on par with what the original 360 experience felt like. But if anything, the Xenon plays like how I remember the Xbox 360 feeling, even if I might have some rose-tinted nostalgia goggles on when I look back at that generation, like everybody else. And of course, whether you love it or you hate it, the iconic Xbox 360 D-pad is back once again. It's a little bit more tactile this time around, like the shoulder buttons, but still has that mushiness that makes it a true recreation of what the 360 felt like. Overall, the Hyperkin Xenon controller is a fantastic recreation of the controller that most people between the ages of 20 and 30 grew up playing with. The Xbox 360 defined gaming for an entire generation of players, with games like Gears of War, Halo 3, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and so many others being how we spent our time outside of school. And while it's not perfect, if you do want to go back and play these classics, Xbox has had ample support for their backwards compatibility program that's made all of these games and more playable on the Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles with some modern perks like FPS boost for a higher frame rate or auto HDR. But the Xenon controller is great for way more than just replaying the classics. As I'm making this video, College Football 25 just launched and is the first college football game since NCAA Football 14 was released 11 years ago. For people that have spent the last decade playing college football on their Xbox 360 and legitimately love that controller, this is a great option for them to stick to what they know and keep enjoying those newest games. No matter if you're on Halo 3 or Halo Infinite, Call of Duty 4 or Black Ops 6, NCAA Football 14 or College Football 25, Hyperkin knocked it out of the park with their Xenon controller. The only way this could be any better would be if it was wireless, and that could be a big deal breaker for some people. Microsoft doesn't use Bluetooth on the Xbox consoles. They use their internal proprietary tech to try and get that latency as low as possible, which makes it more difficult for third parties like Hyperkin to make wireless controllers. But on the flip side, responsiveness and battery life aren't a factor compared to the standard Xbox controller, and being able to plug and play on consoles or PC is pretty much the gold standard. It's a controller that works well, plays great, and carries forward a piece of Xbox history for a new generation of players to pick up and play. But that's just my experience with the Xenon controller. I love seeing companies like Hyperkin recapture gaming history and bring back these classics, but I would love to know what you think down below. Did you like the Xbox 360 gamepad, and would you pick up one of these controllers to bring that experience back on the newest hardware? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you're new here, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop. And I'll catch you on the next one.